Minasan konnichiwa.
Konnichiwa.
Greg Taylor, genki desu ka?
Hi, genki desu, kagesama de. Mark Mering, ohisashiburi.
Sashiburi, man. It's a long time, essay. Okay, this is Musings from Japan number 45, and it's been a long time.
45.
Yeah, 45. Okay, man, it's
45.
nuts, man. And man, think about this, Greg. We've been doing this since the beginning of the pandemic, and here we
That's
are
right.
still doing it.
It's 45. It's our 45th show.
Yeah, so
Can you
and
believe it? It's great.
it's good. I'm saying, okay, let's do a quick check, make sure that everyone understands that we're clear. How many vaccinations have you had, Greg?
Well, I've had three.
Three? Okay.
I've had two in Japan, one in America, because I said a few. I came out and I said that I'm here in America.
Yeah.
Since
So
since October, since when was it? September
last fall.
2021.
Last
Yeah,
fall.
last fall, and now it's coming in to almost a year, I think.
So you've had one there in the States as well. Okay, that's
One,
good.
yeah, but it was in the winter, so
Are you going to get a fourth one?
yeah. But they're talking about coming out with a new one, so a new booster shot that's
Mm.
BA.5
Oh, that's right.
compliant or whatever you want to say. I don't know.
Yeah, actually, that I think they already have come out with it some places. So next week I get my fourth one next week. So basically, Greg, we're both compliant now.
Yay.
Yay. Okay, so so the pandemic. So but some things that we've done some things. So since the our last musings, actually, I went to Europe with
Right.
the
Yeah.
Fresno State Alumni Band.
I really wanted to do that trip.
Yeah, I had a privilege of conducting and playing and meeting a lot of our good friends and colleagues from college and meeting new people from around America who came to join the party. It was great, but but now that I've traveled outside of Japan, that was the first time in 2.5 years I traveled outside of Japan. Isn't that
So
correct?
it was because you traveled before COVID pandemic.
Just before it hit here, I went to Taipei,
Yeah.
and then after that, boom, pandemic. So I got to go to Europe, and it was interesting that nobody was required to wear masks everywhere. There was asked. It was based on the situation, but really nobody required me to wear a mask, and people were kind of, how would you say, more. You know how Japanese people are. The Japanese were like panicking about wearing a mask, and everyone is really anal about keeping doing this and getting your temperature check. There it was not panicking, but it was kind of like an everyday thing. It was part of life now. That,
Mm.
and I think that's kind of cool. I kind of like that feeling. So so since coming back here and adjusting back to Japan, it's kind of going to the office to sit in the office all day with a mask on, walking outside people, and it's so hot here. I know it's been hot in California, right?
Yeah, it's one of the hottest on record for August or this
Right.
month, I guess.
So I can't imagine you trying to wear a mask outside.
But you see people occasionally do it, but they definitely wear masks indoors. A lot of people still wear masks indoors.
Hmm.
Um, but I know how Japan is, and I know how um, I would probably still be wearing a mask there were I in Japan.
Hmm.
And I wore a mask until the regulations or the government, whatever it is, said that we didn't have to do that anymore. And so
Hmm.
at that time, I haven't worn a mask since, and I think that was March.
Hmm. So what about in the schools for you? Are you still require students and teachers to wear masks in the
No,
classroom?
students they provide you with the uh, PPE, but the a lot of the students, I wouldn't say a lot, but definitely more than some wear masks regularly. So,
In,
and some
in,
teachers as well.
oh, okay. but it's not required.
No.
You see, whereas our school, it's required. And actually, we're still going to an online schedule. So so students we never have all the students in the campus at the same time. We're always rotating students. So some students are online, some are in the class, and we do that every day. And we're going to continue that for the rest of the year, rest
But
of the school year.
what I think is interesting is that we're at a time in this pandemic where a lot of your friends
Mm,
or people you know or acquainted with, or even family,
mm.
have been getting COVID.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yeah, a lot of people close in here in Japan, and a lot of people in my office. I don't know if did we do musings before or after I had COVID?
Oh, I don't know.
Oh, just in case you don't remember or you didn't see the last episode, people, I got COVID. This would be back in April of this
No, I
year.
think it was we did one before.
Oh,
So yeah.
I got COVID
So it kind
and
of tells everybody.
and and actually it was weird because it didn't feel like I had anything. I had a cold. And and I mean I was bad for a day and a half where I had a fever and I had a really bad sore throat. And then after that, I was fine. I wanted to go, but no, the doctor said you have COVID. You got to stay in your room, stay cooped up and isolate. And so I did that for 7 days, and then yeah, 7 days. Got tested. I was clear. They gave me some sort of experimental drug from America. They said so. Of course, they gave it to me because I'm a foreigner. So and it was fine. I enjoyed taking the drugs, and it was funny because after that, excuse me, after that I had a gig at a jazz club, and the one thing I noticed at the gig, this tells me that I did have COVID, is that I felt I didn't have as much air stamina as I usually do.
Yeah.
I practiced and I had good chops. I could play the notes, but after an hour or 2 hours of playing, it's like, I felt winded. It's like, wow, this is new. I felt like I was playing basketball instead of playing trombone, you know. But that was it. And but after that time, since then, no problem. Chops
Well,
feel good.
I remember when you had COVID and that you were, had to quarantine for a while
Yeah.
and but I was glad that it didn't, it wasn't quite
No,
severe. It was quite mild on you actually, which is
yeah.
good.
No problems with taste, no problems with the losing your taste or headaches or um, a cough. I had a cough before because of my heart medication. So I can't tell if this cough is because of COVID or heart medication. I think it's because it's just the same cough I've always had.
Yeah, I think
So,
so. I know that I had a medicine, blood pressure medicine that I had that gave me a dry cough.
right, so that doesn't change, right? So,
No.
but then going to Europe, I felt great. I had no problems. And
What what
Europe
was
was great.
your favorite part of the trip?
Going with my son, Ty, he went. He played in the band.
Oh, of course.
And
That
then
was
that was
great.
that was yeah. I'm a
Yeah,
proud
I
pop.
was really wanted to go on that trip, but it's it's the way life takes you, and so I worked really hard during the summer.
Right.
So that was nice to do as well. But I followed your trip very closely, and I followed your YouTube videos,
Yeah,
which
it's
were
I
great.
put I put everything out there, and I
So
wish we
everybody look under Mark Mudding if he posted as a public video,
it's
which I think
it,
he did. So
of course it's on Facebook, so go to my Facebook site and you can look back on all the videos. But the other thing is the thing that I got out of Europe was of course, the level of performance and musicianship that I was surrounded with. It's really nice to play with great musicians like that. and I haven't done that in a while. Um, I don't want to sound, I don't want this to sound wrong, but here in Japan, usually people treat me as like, I'm some, great trombone player or musician. I'm just a good musician and I enjoy music, but being with the band in Europe and I could be with other greater musicians than me, far greater than me, and conductors far greater than me. I mean, and it was so nice to just be with people and feel that level of musicianship and camaraderie that comes through music, as opposed to friendship or whatever. It just, as a musician, it's like, ah, I don't get that in Japan.
Yeah, yeah.
You know how it is, yeah. And you've seen me work in Japan, and people tend to put me on a pedestal, and I don't belong on a pedestal, you know.
Well, why not? You're Mr. Niigata.
Yeah, I'm Mr. Niigata. I'd rather think of myself as the base of the pedestal.
There you go. Wow.
I'm here to prop up other people,
Folks, don't listen to him. Don't let him put himself down right here. He's great. He's fantastic. So, yeah. What about some of the groups that you were able to listen to aside from your own performances?
The
Can you comment on
universe,
any of those?
yeah, the University of Delaware, Delaware State. I can't remember the University of Delaware Wind Band at one of the performances at the WASB at the conference, and I was really
What's WASB, by the way?
the World Association of Symphonic Bands and Ensembles.
Hmm.
How's that? I pulled that out of my hat. I was thinking,
Yep.
shit, I gotta look it up. Oh, I said shit. I shouldn't say shit. Okay.
You got to blink that signal
I,
there.
oh, bleep. Okay. Um, but um, but they played a very, very funky program that I was really impressed with. Some of it was jazzy, some of it was artistic. And it's kind of nice to hear different progressions of music because in Japan you get stuck in this Japanese style of everything, which is good, which is great actually, but I never hear enough of European or American uh, works here in Japan, and I got to hear a lot of American stuff and listen to and well, the United States Marine Band was the highlight of the trip for me. I haven't heard them in a while. I last time I heard them was in Japan, but
Yeah, they were in Japan a few years ago, and about an hour from me, and
mhm,
in Hamamatsu, and I wanted to see them, and
right,
I just couldn't get the time off from work to do it.
yeah, I've seen them here in Japan. I saw them, of course, in America, but to see them in Europe and just knock the socks, knock my socks off. It just kicked my butt. I'm trying to say things without cussing. It was really it was phenomenal, and just to see, and I remember talking with Doc, the Dr. Larry Sutherland, who was the master conductor and the reason why we did this. My former teacher and professor, and um, sitting with him and Ty, and he meant, and he was saying, how could you not like the United States Wind Band? Look at the audience reaction to what they did. And we're talking they had three or four standing ovations in the performance that I saw. And not at the end of the concert. We're talking in the middle of the concert.
Oh, you're
I
talking
mean,
about the Marine Band?
that's what I said. Yeah, the Marine
Yeah,
Band, they have three or four standing ovations, but not at the end of the concert, but in the middle of their
yeah.
program. I mean, that is one thing that I miss is that the freedom to express joy at what you listen to that you don't get in Japan. Japan, Japanese are very conservative. They politely clap. They have a
You hear a
structured
you hear a
encore.
buzzer. You hear a buzzer right before the concert's about to begin,
Right. They
like,
tell you everything. Right. Yeah. And even
and
at
everybody's dead silent.
and an intermission too. So so you get back, and what I'm saying is I played in symphony orchestras and wind bands and jazz bands and many kinds of ensembles, professional in Japan, and when we play something and it's like just not great, the audience reaction is very muted. They're not standing up, they're not yelling bravo, they're not,
I think
whistling.
though,
I mean,
but I think that that is totally true. But if you watch some of the NHK or the Sienna uh, YouTube videos or whatever, you see, and I haven't been to concerts in Tokyo, and you have, but uh, you do see more audience involvement and more.
but but at the end of the concert, at the end of the program, they'll give the encore, they'll stand up and whatever. They don't do it because they feel it. This is what I'm saying. They do express, yes, and they express joy, but they like the Marine Band played Karel Husa's Prague 1968,
Music for Prague. That's right.
Music of
Yeah.
Prague 1968, and it was phenomenal. The performance was just I haven't heard that piece played that well ever for me, and it I stood up. The people around me were standing up. The Korean band members that were in front of me stood up. I mean,
It's
and
amazing when you hear such a great performance of a great piece like that,
mm,
that it has the power to move you in that fashion. I mean, I think the only time I've ever really felt that way was when I attended a Berlin Philharmonic, two concerts by the Berlin Philharmonic, and they were doing Beethoven symphonies, and I heard the Vienna Philharmonic play their entire concert, and I wasn't moved by it until they did an encore of a Strauss waltz at the very end, and
and then
it was I got chills, because it
right,
was just so great, and nobody
yeah,
can play a Strauss waltz better than the Vienna Philharmonic.
no, and see
So
that's what I mean. But in Japan, I don't know if they get chills the same way that we do.
Oh,
That,
I think they do, and I think that the Japanese culture, the Japanese people in audiences are much more reserved just by
but
nature.
but but that's what I miss. I miss the freedom to express yourself. That's my point. I mean, I appreciate all the Japanese audiences and they're great, but I really miss the time when somebody just stands up in the middle of your concert and goes, yeah, you know what I mean? I mean, I mean,
Yeah,
I miss sometimes like going to hear a jazz band when I watch jazz band things on YouTube, from big bands in America or in Europe, and like the people after a solo, they're going, yeah, wow, woo,
you
awesome.
know,
The band talking to the soloist, going, yeah, come on, yeah, that kind of stuff.
right, and you know what? But I think even in our culture, there's like this oh, I better not do this in case somebody, what's somebody else going to think. Some people are worried about, like, I know I worry. I'm speaking for myself. I worry about what people will think if I show emotion or whatever. But
Yeah,
I'm telling you, like that time that I saw the Berlin Philharmonic in California about 15 years ago, I don't know how long ago it was. It was it was a spontaneous eruption of emotion.
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That that is what I miss in Japan. And there are some people who do it, but here, if people do that, people look at them. Oh, that person's strange.
Right.
But for me, it's like thank you.
Yeah.
You know,
Which I want to follow that up.
yeah,
Do you, so as musicians, we like to play in public,
mm,
and that's what we do. It's uh, I mean, one of the main reasons we perform music, also for ourselves, but basically to play for others. And
right.
so when when you're playing music, do you think the mood of an audience affects the performance?
Yes,
Yeah,
yeah,
I think
yeah,
so too. So it's like
yeah,
and the way the audience reacts to you, because I think it can drive on a performance if it's a
yes,
you
yes.
know
And see, and Greg, you've been to my wind band concerts when I was conducting with my college band. You remember?
yes
sometimes I would come out and I would encourage the audience to clap more, right? You remember
And
that?
then they kind of get into it,
Right,
uh, because it's like you're so okay. Well, he said for just to do it, so it's like you give him permission to do it.
right, right. And see, and that's what and then when the soloist plays, I would clap and everyone claps with. So part of my job here in Japan as a musician is trying to in a subtle way teach the audience that it's okay to express joy at what you hear and what you see and what you're doing. I mean, I just, and going to Europe brought that back out for me. So, like, I played a gig, right? I told you I played a gig um, recently. Oh, there is, I don't think you can hear that on my cell phone. There's an earthquake alert here.
Oh, Jishin des.
Yeah,
Did she
so,
say it?
no, wait a minute. I'm gonna close this. Okay. No, it wasn't an earthquake. It was a flood warning.
Oh, you're having rain in your area
Yeah,
today, I think.
yeah.
Well, it's sunny at the beach right now.
Well, it's sunny at the beach in my in my thing, but it's raining and there's a flood warning. Okay, so I got the flood warning, so I won't go swimming. Anyway, what was I saying? Anyway,
So,
but so I played a gig recently. I played a gig with another big band. I think I sent you a video link,
oh yes,
and and it was a Latin big band. Now I'm not a Latin player. I mean, even though I'm a Mexican and I love Latin music, but I rarely get an opportunity to play Latin music. But I got a chance, and I got to play some solos in this band. I don't know if you watched it, Greg, but how I
yeah.
approached the solos and how I was dancing and
Oh, it
and
looked like a lot of fun. Yeah, I remember like
I,
it was under a roof or something
it was
like
a
that.
gazebo. It was in a
Gazebo,
park,
yeah.
and it was raining. People were in tents and umbrellas listening to it. But it was a great feeling to play the gig, and I played it because I was getting into it with everybody, and I was dancing with people. And it was nice because then I played my solos were better than I thought because again, I'm not a soloist. People don't. I'm not a jazz soloist, but in Japan, I'm considered a great jazz soloist.
Well, I mean,
I've worked hard at. I've worked hard at.
there's some terrific jazz in Japan, but there also is on the other side of the coin. I would say that being that jazz is an American art form, and it's been practiced for I don't know what I'm trying to say other than that. It's just
The approach is different,
yeah, its approach is different. So
and that's okay. And that's
and you
okay.
have the American approach.
Right. So I have no technique. I'm not, a great trombone player, but I enjoy what I do, and I try to play the right notes and get the right feeling and fit in with what the band's doing. And I think I did a good job, and it was fun. And I wish more people would do that. That's one thing. Everyone's so worried about how they sound, how they look, which is okay. You have to be worried, but let's enjoy the music. It's
Yeah, if anybody I know, I think one of the people uh, that has the most, exuberant kind of, you know, feel of freedom is you. So, which is great.
well,
So,
and I'll
Mark,
never lose that.
what else? What's else in the scoop?
Well, okay, let's see. Let's get back to our agenda here, which is cool. Oh, let's talk about you were telling me you're watching a Japanese TV show on Netflix in America?
Yeah, so I had Netflix in Japan, and then I started
Hmm.
watching it in Japan as well. And what's interesting about Netflix is when you're signing on to Netflix, or you can change it at any time. You can in the settings
Hmm.
of language that you're interested, or so you can say Japan or Japanese. You can say
Hmm.
Japanese, and
Hmm.
then they send you feeds they send you Japanese, how do I
Programs.
say it? Programs. Yeah. Even
Oh,
if you're in America. And I started my Netflix in Japan, so I was charged in yen, and then I just logged on recently because, um, and I'm going to go back off because I don't subscribe, the whole year, but there's a show in Japan. It's a Japanese Netflix, and it's called Midnight Diner or Shinya Shokudo. And so
Shinya means midnight or yeah, midnight
and Shokudo means diner or
diner
like
rest. Shokuro could even be a restaurant or
right,
a
like
pub or
and or like like if you recall in well, Fresno, like a Hofbrauch where you go and take a tray and you get them to make a sandwich for you. And because in Okazaki I go to the Okazaki Shokudo, and
a
and
delicatessen.
you just get a tray and they put the stuff on your tray. But the show is great because it has a set of regulars on the TV, on the program, and it's about a guy who's rather mysterious, and he has this diner which he opens at midnight,
Hmm.
and then he
Hmm.
closes at 7 a.m. and
Right,
and he has a menu on the wall. It's a very small menu, and that's what he makes. But if he has the ingredients, he'll make anything the customers ask, as long as he has the ingredients. And
right.
so people from all over Shinjuku and Tokyo come in, and into, or well, they come in, whoever it is, they come in from all walks of life into this little diner, and
Mm.
and it's their own little world. And so it's a really fascinating show. It's a fascinating look on Japanese culture. And it's a good opportunity for me to listen to true, authentic, everyday Japanese, because it feels like an authentic uh, show where you really are there, and
Right,
not some Tokyo production where it's this drama thing like that. No, it's just life. It's just people going through life. And so it's also centered around food. And the guy who runs this restaurant, that he talks of how he makes anything they want, and customers come in, and he has this big scar on his face. And so the people in this show are generally good people, but they have people from all walks of life who somehow bond together with everybody else, despite who they are.
mm.
And you have all these different characters in the show, and everybody, no matter what you do, they accept you for who you are. And
Well, yeah. I mean, that's the key point of a midnight shokudo because the culture of eating after midnight. You know what that means?
we'll
No.
share with
Oh,
us.
well, see, in Japan, I mean, usually people go after work. They finish work I would say, between 6 and 8, and they go out to eat or they go out to drink, and usually have happy hours, and they go to it.
Yeah, he says ichinichi owari, you
Right,
know.
right. The day's done. You go over there and you'll spend a couple hours. You do like what they call a nomi hodai, an all you could drink from like 7 to 9 or something like that. And then and then after that you'll hang out at a karaoke or some other bar, and you'll have little shots and stuff. And it's around midnight, and you're before you catch the last train home. You know,
Right,
you
right.
you
and
want a
and
little bite to eat just to cap off the night, and you go to a midnight chocolate like that, and anybody can walk in any condition, and they have a bite to eat. They just want to relax and get ready.
I remember one time, I went to a place in, I think it was Furumachi, and it was
Mm-hmm.
no Furumachi Hachi, Furumachi Q
Mm-hmm.
somewhere, and it was a ramen place or something like that, and it
Yeah,
was three. It was 3 in the morning.
yeah, hachibancho. Yeah, and
Y-
number 8. Yeah, there's a
Yeah,
there's a the famous big ramen shop, and that's a good place to eat ramen.
it was at 3 in the morning.
Right. It opens, I think, at 10 p.m.
Right,
That's
and
what.
so it was very crowded.
Yeah, and
And I looked at the clock, and I was with the person I was with, and we were eating ramen there, and I just remember that, and
well,
um,
the big thing
it was
about
so late, but yet it was
the what
busy.
that ramen shop is always busy because they also cater to the workers. All the clubs and the karaoke houses that are there usually close between 2 and 4 a.m. So when they get off, they want a bite to eat before they go home, so they go to that ramen shop. So
Yeah,
it
but I think that's a special thing about Japanese life.
mm,
I really miss that aspect right now. And I mean,
yeah,
I think it's maybe not necessarily healthy to be a regular at that time of night, where per se, but go out to eat at that time of night when I probably should be home in bed.
yeah.
But I remember doing that, and it was great. And I just really wanted to share this TV show. Is uh It's a great TV show, and I really enjoyed watching it over
You
the
reckon? Do they have subtitles? You can put English
they have
subtitles,
subtitles, and sometimes I listen to it I listen to it always in Japanese,
of course.
but and I don't think they don't have it dubbed in English, but they do have subtitles in many different languages. And
Yeah,
so it's
just
good
to
practice for Japanese
well, it,
subtitles.
I think it's better to hear the Japanese and read the English because you can get the subtlety of what the expression is that way.
On the other side of the coin, sometimes you just get too dependent upon the Japanese or the English subtitles, and you kind of tune out the Japanese. Um,
Uh,
but but
yeah, well,
but
but
if you do the Japanese with the Japanese subtitles, it helps you learn how to read the kanji.
yeah,
If you're at the level of language acquisition that you
right,
know what you're listening to.
right. But in the long run, if you're just going for a cultural experience, that is a good show to get a good cultural experience of Japan because that's the kind of side of Japan that most people don't see, and it's kind of cool. I think it's
It's a
cool.
side of Japan that I saw. Um, Maybe not quite to the extent on this show, but of course it is a show, and but it just feels like it's very real. And what's interesting is the people they have a character come on the show, and then when they choose it to be that character's turn, if they talk about the food and what they order, what their favorite food is, and
Mm.
then the master makes it. And I said mentioned he had this big scar on his face, and you wonder, how did he get that scar? Well, it was explained in one of the episodes. And then so the show was on for 2 seasons on Netflix, 2 or 3 seasons in the early 2013 or 2014, and then it came back for 2 more seasons, and I guess they'd made a couple movies and whatnot, and now the show's not on, but it's on Netflix. But it came back as Tokyo Stories, Midnight Diner Tokyo Stories, for a couple seasons, and I'm almost done I'm halfway through the second season, I think. So
Cool, cool.
yeah, it's great.
Yeah. And well, anyway, but we should end a little bit here. But before we end, which one do you want to talk about? The traveling to Japan or football?
Well, you know what? Let's talk about football.
All right. Yeah.
So
It's fantasy
recently,
football season. Yay.
those little subscriptions that you can get on the internet can eat you alive if you subscribe to too many things. So that's why I'm canceling Netflix, and I'll probably subscribe again in 4 or 5 months or whatever for a little bit and watch some movies. But rather than have it as a reoccurring thing, just they let you come back, which is great. But I recently um, I've had the NFL Game Pass, which is very expensive, and I was able to watch football games in Japan, but really not that much, considering I didn't have the time to do it. But here in America, I have the time where I can watch football on the weekends, and so it's on TV for free or whatever. But then Amazon is going to be showing on Prime. They've already started showing Thursday Night Football with Al Michaels, because he switched over to Amazon. And
Right.
then NFL came out at the beginning of the season, just a few weeks ago. It's now still in preseason. They came out with an app called NFL, or a part of their app called NFL Plus, and for like $4.99 a month, you can watch football games, or you can watch for $7.99 a month, and you can pay an annual subscription fee, so it's far cheaper than Game Pass, where you can watch easily these games on your phone.
Well,
And
I
so
mean, I
the
could
season's
watch.
starting now.
I used to have Game Pass. I canceled it this year because it's too expensive here in
Right.
Japan.
And
I
and
mean,
they
and
apparently that's
I could watch it on
apparently
my
this is
phone,
replacing Game Pass in America. So
but it
they're
didn't
they're
replace it here. So
right. So but you still can watch virtually anything you want to watch anytime in Japan with the Game Pass that they have set up in Japan.
yeah, but it's like expensive.
To it's like 28 mon a year.
Yeah, it's like it's break 200, $300. I'm going, why am I going to spend $300 and I can don't have I can watch the games anytime, but yeah, but see, I want to watch the games when it's game day, and I don't
So
have a chance to do that. So I have no time to do that. So
so who's shaping up right now for a good season, do you think?
I have no idea because
Yeah.
I have no idea. But we're getting ready for a fantasy football, and I'm going to try to make a big comeback this year. I think this will be my last year, um, because now we're only down to the last three people who are the original members of this fantasy football league that I'm in for the last
Oh,
23 years. Uh, we're getting down to the one guy who was managing it last year bowed out this year, so he's just going to take a break and that's it. He's done after 22 years. So
wow,
now
that's
there's
amazing.
only three of us left. So anybody out there who's looking for a fantasy football league that's really easy, come join us. We have an open spot. So and but so I'm just getting ready for the draft. I'm going to see what happens whenever it happens. And I know I'm not. The Rams won last year, and I was happy. That's about it. Right now, I'm into baseball.
Oh, I've been watching baseball lately, so yeah.
Yeah, so the Dodgers are doing great. I'm a Dodger fan. Sorry for all the people in the Bay Area who listen to this pod to our musings. I'm a Dodger fan, and I like the Angels too. And Otani's been doing well. He just won today. He just another game. So
Pitching.
yeah, he
Yeah.
was pitching, and so a shutout. Him and the relievers had to come.
He's truly amazing, I think.
He is in such a nice guy, and he works hard, and he represents Japan well. I mean, Ichiro got inducted into the Seattle Mariners Hall of Fame, which in 2 years he'll be eligible for the Baseball Hall of Fame, and I'm sure he's going to be a
He'll get in.
first
Yep.
ballot Hall of Famer. He better,
Yeah,
because
I think that
if he's not, then it's truly racist in America. I'm saying it now.
I
Okay,
would agree with that,
yeah.
because
Anyway,
Ichiro was a truly great player as well.
well, Greg,
Uh,
so let's try to get together another time in the next couple of weeks so we can talk about football. And you're going to
That'd be
have to tell
great.
me, and you're going to have to tell me because you're watching it and I'm not. So you're going to have to educate me.
Well,
We'll have
that
Greg
sounds like a
Taylor's
great plan.
fantasy football review. Yay!
Oh, we didn't do how's the weather, but the weather's fine, and it's hot. It's just
Yeah,
hot. It's typical
here
summer
it's
weather.
just raining heavily and we're flooding. I came back to
Well,
flood. I came back from Europe, from heat in Europe to flooding here. We're talking massive flooding, places underwater, houses washed away. That's where I
yeah,
live.
I saw that on in especially in Murakami in
Murakami
Niigata Prefecture. Yeah,
Sekikawa, Onuma-san's
Sekikawa.
place, the alto
Hondo.
sax player. Yeah, he's
Yeah,
really tie hand up there. I mean, really bad. So, but anyway, I hope everyone out there is being safe. This hot
that's
weather,
Musings
or
from Japan. That's right.
that's all we got for you to this time.
Yeah,
So
Musings from Japan number 45.
45 is done. Thank you very
Done.
much, everyone. Sayonara. Greggy, see you.
Sayonara. See you.
Bye.